Good morning, traders. I am Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Thursday, August 8th. Today's moves follow another day of declines for the markets. Yesterday's stocks couldn't hang on to gains, and all three major indices closed in the red. The Dow gave up 234 points, or 0.6%. The S&P 500 shed 40 points, or just more than 0.75%. The Nasdaq lost 171 points, or more than 1%. Bill, let's get into Thursday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes. Good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps have turned higher. We're up 0.13%. I mean, we were lower all morning, but now we've turned green, which is nice to see. I mean, you look, big event today is the Jobless Claims report. I mean, that the Fed really is keeping an eye on employment data, and they're going to really start focusing on their comments with respect to the labor market. So this is going to be kind of a key report today. I saw that Jamie Dimon was speaking yesterday. He gave a big interview, said there's 35 to 40% chance that we won't have a soft landing. But, that means, if you look at the flip side, that's, what is it, 65, 60% we will. So, odds are still looking good. But as far as getting down to 2% inflation, he thinks it's going to take longer than what the Fed is anticipating. And he did mention that he may be retiring earlier than expected. That would really cause a shock in the stock price if he retires or when he leaves. He's worth probably 20 points to the stock. What else we got? So earnings, Lilly, LLY, Larry Yellow, they came out with good earnings. That stock's trading higher this morning. We got, Warner Brothers. They're doing a big write-down of their traditional TV networks. They're writing it down by $9.1 billion. That's huge. I see Micron said that they're going to start resuming buybacks. So, that's positive for the stock. What else do we see? We're looking over at Europe. We're seeing some losses in Europe. I mean, the DAX is down 74 points, or 0.42%. The FTSE's down 90 points, or 1.10%. The CAC is lower by 67 points, or 0.93%. One of the ECB officials came out and he said that the ECB can continue to be lowering rates if there's increased confidence among the policymakers that inflation is slowing. London, I'm seeing a lot of weakness in those miners. That's not good. That's hurting that stock. Looking last night in Asia, the action in Asia was mixed. The Nikkei fell 258 points. That's 0.74%. Where Hong Kong rose 13, 14 points, 0.08%, and China, was essentially flat to higher, I guess. The big thing with the Nikkei was the Bank of Japan. They had their policy, their meeting minute notes for that July meeting that they had, and it really indicated some of the board members were looking for, further rate hikes. And one member even said, they need to be brought back to 1%. We know that there's, the interest rates in Japan need to go higher after being so low for decades. They need to go up. They carry trade that really caused the market action on Monday. That's pretty much over with. So I don't expect that to create another craziness in the markets. But, Hong Kong, listen, that market remains fragile. But China has got their CPI and PPI reports coming out on Friday. So that's something to look forward to. But looking on at oil, I mean, oil's mixed. You got WTI, $75.28. You got Brent at $78.31. They were lower, but they have been, ticking higher as of late. Apparently, Iran sent out a message to commercial airliners that their airspace ban will be in place this morning for like 3 hours. There's talk of Hezbollah maybe doing its own, retaliatory action against Israel for their suspected involvement in a bombing that occurred inside of Iran. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen probably Sunday, I would think, but maybe Monday. But we are getting closer to something happening between Iran and Israel. But there is a flurry of diplomatic notices going into Iran, trying to calm down the tensions there that are very elevated. But we got oil trading, flat to lower this morning. We'll have to see if they don't pick up later this afternoon. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
And Bill, we're going to dive into some of the details here, along with all that you previewed in your opening. We're also taking a look at other things today, like earnings action, economic events, and there's still other market moving headlines. So we're going to start here with earnings action. Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings today?
McKesson, ticker MCK, they beat by 67 cents, but it was done on lower revenue. You look at that stock, it's down 6.8% this morning. They did do a buyback, but, the stock's still getting hit by the lower revenue figure. Robinhood Markets, ticker HOOD. I liked this one yesterday. Henry, Oscar, David. They beat by 6 cents. They did it on higher revenue. You look at the stock, it's up 2.92% this morning. There you go. AppLovin, ticker APP, they beat by 14 cents. Met on revenue expectations. Stock's trading higher by 1.41% this morning. Eli Lilly, LLY, Larry Yellow, they beat by 32 cents this morning on higher revenue and raised guidance. I mean, they did everything right. You look at Eli Lilly, stock's up 12.93% this morning. Datadog, DDOG, David, Oscar Grace, they beat by 6 cents on higher revenue. That stock's up 3.67% this morning. Upcoming, Take-Two Interactive, ticker TTWO. They're coming out after the bell. Their EPS is a penny. Expected move is 8.11%. And we at the trade desk, ticker TTD. Tom David. EPS is 36 cents. Expected move is 12.27%, 12.27. I like it, but I just don't. There's something that's a little cautious in the air with trade desk, but I do like it. Gilead Sciences, ticker GILD, Grace India, Larry David. EPS is $1.61. Expected move is 4.32% when they release this afternoon, Emily.
And Bill, now we're going to move on to economic events. Even though there isn't a ton here, there's at least one that people are going to be keeping an eye on. So what is going on in terms of economic events?
Well, it's jobless claims. I mean, for the first week of August, which was last week, the data is going to be significant because it's going to provide insights into the current state of the labor market. And the labor market's a crucial factor in the Fed's monetary policy decisions. You think about it, the current estimates are looking for a decrease of about 7,000 claims, which are bringing it to 242,000 for the first week of August. That's the big one today. Jobless claims due out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time this morning, Emily.
And Bill, when that comes out this morning, you will see it as that data is released because you have NewsWare, you have economic alerts to set up to watch those reports. You're also keeping track of the earnings action using your NewsWare, and you're also watching other types of news like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news. You're able to look at stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks or your Dow 30 stocks. So Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
I'm doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 12 higher, 15 lower, the rest unchanged. What's having a significant move? Yeah, the banks, well, Goldman's down big, down 0.5%. Disney's down, 0.9%. Amgen's up 0.7%. We'll have to wait and see. But you're looking at some of the news behind it, like Amazon. UK antitrust officials are probing whether Amazon.com's multi-billion-dollar investment in AI startup Anthropic is going to create a threat to competition. I see media reports, Google and Meta, that they were working on a project together that targeted 13 to 17-year-old kids. Tesla China retail sales, passenger vehicles dropped 2.8% year over year. Seeing some weakness in Tesla. It's down 0.6% this morning. Looking at your Dow stocks, Apple said to be considering, having an additional charge for its AI features. I saw a $20 figure being thrown out there. JP Morgan, big banks are being probed on their handling of the Zelly scams that are out there. Boeing, NASA says Starliner astronauts could return home on SpaceX. Ooh, that's a big blow for Boeing. Boeing is trading higher though. It's up by a little over 0.1%. terms of merger news, Walgreens, Boots Alliance, ticker WBA, William Boyd Apple, they're talking about the sale of Village MD. Village MD, that investment in Village MD, it's just not having the results that they were expecting. So they may get out of that whole thing. Howard Hughes, ticker HHH, Henry. They formed a special committee to evaluate potentially taking the company private. Now, Pershing Square said their largest shareholder and said they'd be behind taking the company private. Listen, Pershing Square has not been good. They don't have a good track record here. Remember JCPenney's? They lost over $1 billion on their Think Big investment on JCPenney, thinking that they could turn the struggling retailer around. They didn't do it. They screwed it up worse. And then I remember Bill Ackman said, "Oh, I was right to get out. You lost $1 billion. You were wrong to get in." Let's see. Well, let's talk guidance news. Bluebird, ticker BLBD. Boy Larry, Boy David. They reported Q3 EPS of 91 cents. Street estimate was only 51 cents. That was good. And they raised guidance. Upwork, ticker UPWK. Uncle Paul, William Kilo. They raised their full year 2024 adjusted EPS view to 90 to 94 cents. It was 88 to 82. That's a nice uptick. McKesson, ticker MCK. They came out with their 2025 EPS view of 31 cents, $31.75 to $32.55, whereas the street estimate is $31.74. See, this is for next year. We're looking this year. McKesson, they had lower revenue, so that stock's getting beat today. Datadog, ticker DDOG, that for Q3 they see adjusted EPS coming in 38 cents to 40 cents. Street estimate was at 37 cents. That's an uptick. Eli Lilly, ticker LLY. They raised their 2024 EPS view, $16.10 to $16.60. Street estimate, this was an uptick from $13.50 to $14. So that's like a $2 uptick. There's a reason why you're seeing Lilly up to over 12% this morning. Let's talk about the shareholders meetings. MRVL, Michael Victor, Richard, Larry, Marvel Technologies. They're at a summit this morning in California, Flash Memory Summit. Something could happen out of that one. MRVL, something to keep an eye on. In terms of buyback news, McKesson, MCK, they approved they purchased a stock buyback of up to $4 billion worth of shares. Micron, and Micron's interesting. It did jump over 5%, but it's since given back some of those gains because they said they're going to restart their share repurchasing agreement. So that's kind of good. EPAM Systems, the ticker EPAM, Alvis Paul, Apple Mary, they announced a 500 million share buyback. And so did Murphy Oil, ticker MUR. They announced a 500 million share buyback last night. But that's really what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what is your pick of the day today?
Sweet Garden, ticker Sweet Green, ticker SG, Sam Grace. Earnings are out after the bout. EPS is a negative 11 cents. Expected move here is 20.45%. That's a big move. Now, yesterday's call volume was 30,626. The put volume was 21,866. Open interest, 45,989 versus put volume of 26,570. Those are pretty good numbers. And major brokers have been raising price targets. You got to like to see that. They did deliver a nice beat on revenue last quarter and caused the stock to jump like 7% after they did earnings last quarter. So I do think this is a nice little opportunity. I want to get in under 26. I want to get in 25.75 if possible. It could, 25.50 if that hits. But I do think this is going to be, a little bit of opportunity when the earnings come out. We're going to see a nice spike in revenue here for Sweet Green, ticker SG, Sam Grace. And that's my pick of the day, Emily.
Bill, looking for some green with Sweet Green today. And coming up, we're going to see if you were able to make some green with your pick of the day from yesterday when we do a recap on that. So stick with us. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, take it away.
APLS, Apple Paul, Larry Sam stock is surging after releasing study results. Apple, Paul, Larry, Sam. ULCC, Uncle Larry, Charlie, Charlie. This is Frontier Group. They see Q3 capacity up 4 to 6% year over year. BKE, Boyd, Kilo, Edward, Buckle reports same July, same store sales down 6.8%. Not good. Blackstone, ticker BX, buys the stake in renewables engineering firm. ANET, Apple, Nancy, Edward, Tom, Morgan Stanley's out saying AI is not the only growth opportunity for this stock. Dell Technologies, ticker DELL, they were awarded a $109 million Air Force blank purchase agreement. Costco, ticker COST, reports July comparable sales up 5.2%, up 7.2% when you exclude gas and Forex issues. So, good report for Costco, ticker COST. What else we got happening here? BIVI, Boy India, Victor India. Said that they're in alignment with the FDA on clinical trials to assess their drug for Parkinson's disease. Travel companies are out there forecasting a slowdown in leisure travel. Bumble, ticker BMBL, shares are off hard. They slashed their annual revenue growth forecast yesterday, which really is stoking concerns on their ability to stay afloat. Russian internet monitoring services reported a mass outage on the availability of video hosting site YouTube. Intel was sued on Wednesday by shareholders who said that the chip maker fraudulently concealed problems that led to its post-week results. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into trading today, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was AppLovin. I did catch a number of price target raises on the stock this morning that came across the tape. You did give us a look at the stock during your earnings rundown. They did report earnings this morning. They reported a Q2 EPS of 89 cents. That was anywhere from 14 cents, as you mentioned, Bill, to 15 cents better than the analyst estimates that were out there. Revenue for the quarter came in line with expectations at $1.08 billion. In terms of guidance, the company sees Q3 2024 revenue of $1.1115 to $1.135 billion, and that is versus the consensus of $1.1 billion. Oh, all around, pretty nice report, pretty good report there, Bill. The stock did take a little bit of a tumble yesterday, kind of along with the markets, but I see it coming back this morning. How did your call work out?
It's still working out. I mean, listen, the stock opened up at $72 and it hit a high of 73, which was, I wonderful there, but I wasn't in the stock yet. So I was like, man. But then it fell down. But it fell all the way down to 67.19. And, I was watching the put volume, and put volume was increasing. And, I stuck with it. I stuck with it. And then the earnings came out, fell apart after earnings, but then it bounced right back because what, those earnings were not bad. They were actually pretty good. That was a good report, kind of what we were thinking. I mean, the only negative is that they just met on revenue expectations. They met. There wasn't a loss. They met, but they beat on EPS and they raised guidance. So, it was actually a pretty good report. You look at the stock this morning, it is trading higher. I'm real close to, even, and I think I'll be able to get my 1%, but it just needs a little more time in the oven, a little more time in the oven. Let it bake a little more. I still think there's a good possibility for me to pull out that 1% gain today. It might have to happen after the market opens, but AppLovin, I'm still loving it. I'm still in it. Ticker APP, Apple, Paul, Emily.
I think we keep hanging on to that one, not making a call yet. Still a chance for a win there. And we will check in with you tomorrow about today's sweet green pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow to end your trading week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.